All right, I am back with my Fichet, and I'm gonna pick it again, and I will explain more in depth how this lock works and how I picked it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pick it again, and then I'll get into the explaining. Whoa. Alright, so something didn't align right. Okay. So there we go. So I do have the cap that goes on here. It is pinned in through, like I explained in the other video. It is pinned in through these 4 pins. Without this cap, I've noticed that the top and the bottom kind of come apart. So here, I'm going to turn it, and so let's keep it together here. You can see I can actuate it from the front. And I'll rotate it over. the discs should all be compacted inside. So I'm going to try. Oh, there we go. So I can turn it with my tool as well. So you can see the actuator back here rotating. Okay. So to explain this, the key is like any other key, and it has cuts on it. So the very tip here, where it's wider, right below that starts the key cuts. So right here is the first one, the second one, and so forth. This distance here is, focus, 4.5 millimeters. So every 4.5 millimeters is a cut on the key. And as you can see, it wraps around. So the discs inside here, they can be straight like the first cut, they can go right, or they can also go left, and so the key will bulge out this way. Now, I decoded the key, and I would move my pick either left or right to move the discs inside, and then I would rotate it to the correct angle. Now, I decoded it by using Michael Hubler's document, and it showed all the different variations of cuts that the key can have. Now, his document lacked one cut, which is my first cut here on the key. This cut isn't in his document, and so what this is doing is this first cut's rotating that key, or it's rotating the tumbler, to the side, and so my pick has to stay inside because of this warding. My pick, I can't pull the pick out, so that's why it kind of dangles there when I turn it. So this key moves the discs left or right, and based on the angles, I'm not in frame, based on the angles on the key, we'll rotate those. So I made a little diagram here. So inside you have a tumbler, and the tumbler fits inside a gear. So you can kind of see how the shape is similar to the gear. And this is what the tumbler looks on the side. So in the gear you have big openings and you have small openings. The big openings correlate to these bigger teeth on the tumbler. And so the big, it's like a puzzle, so the big pieces fit into the big holes and the small pieces fit in the small holes. Now the small pieces are different sizes. And as you can see from the side view, the bigger ones are short. So the key fits inside the tumbler this direction. The bigger ones are wider, obviously, and they're shorter here. The smaller ones, like this one, are longer on the tumbler. So when you try, if you were to try to tension this and turn it, these smaller ones are going to catch, and so there's a likelihood that these smaller ones will catch inside the bigger tumblers. So you could probably, if you didn't have a key, you could probably try to wiggle and figure out where you're at. If you can get it to that point. Then you also have to consider the left and the right movements inside the keyway. So what I did was I decoded the key to figure out, you know, I had to go right a whole bunch. And then here I had to go center at the tip and center at the beginning. And so that's pretty much it. So there it is with the cap on. Oh, and you can, let's see if I can get it to, so you can see there, oops, I'm still picked. These concaved parts have to go straight up in order for the discs to compress, so this has to be in the up position. Let's see. So the other thing here, and part of the reason I couldn't get the key in after it was picked, was because it might be kind of hard to see, but there's a key retaining pieces that pop up. There's one on the bottom here. I don't have very good light here. There, you can see the one on the bottom. And then there are two here in the top. So when this is depressed, I couldn't put the key in. So now I can put the key in and actuate it. So it's a pretty cool lock. On top of the gears, so the gears technically, there's like it's a gear on the inside and a gear on the outside, so there's teeth on the outside. I just didn't feel like drawing them all. And then on these gears, there's another piece that's shaped kind of like that with more teeth. And there's one on the bottom as well, and those keep the gear into place. And so you can fully rotate the gear in place, because each movement, left or right, also have rotational cuts in them. So the middle, it can rotate 360 to the left, it can rotate 360 to the right, it can rotate 360. Which makes this, if you were to manually, without decoding the key, if you were to try to pick it alone, might be kind of difficult, because there's so many combinations. There's up to 11 million different key variations that are possible. So there's my updated video. Let me know if you have any questions.